whether or not you warned people that the U.S. would pull out of NATO if they weren't meeting their spending goals?
I told people that I'd be very unhappy if they didn't up their commitments very substantially, because the United States has been paying a tremendous amount, probably 90% of the cost of NATO. And now people are going to start, and countries are going to start upping their commitments. And now we're very happy and have a very, very powerful, very, very strong NATO, much stronger than it was 2 days ago.
Our friend at the New York Times, his question about the Panama Canal and on Greenland, and Donald Trump's response before you respond.
No, I can't assure you on either of those two, but I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal.
Okay, so the question is, Caitlin, how much of this is Donald Trump trying to negotiate and posturing and warning them? And how much do you really think he means it, particularly given the fact that a big part of his consistent campaign message for 8 years has been, I'm going to get us out of wars?
Well, I mean, it was an extraordinary moment, one of the most extraordinary moments of that press conference, where he was refusing to rule out using military force to retake the Panama Canal, something that he himself brought up, I should note, in this press conference when a reporter later asked, why are you bringing this up? Obviously, it's a signature achievement of Jimmy Carter's. He's about to be lying in state here in Washington. Trump said he was asked about it, but Trump brought it up in his opening remarks. It's something that he's been quite fixated on behind the scenes, from what I've heard from sources in the past few weeks on this issue, complaining about Chinese influence. Obviously, this was a signature achievement of Jimmy Carter's. He believed it improved relations with Latin America for the United States. And still, it's one of his biggest accomplishments that people talk about. But Trump there saying that he would not rule out using military force to retake it is not something that should be treated as with bluster. I mean, Trump is coming into this White House and is intentionally staffing his administration with aides who will not block what he wants to do or what he ultimately seeks. There were many instances in his first term where he wanted to do something, but advisors either convinced him not to or Republican lawmakers did. That is not going to be the same Washington that we are encountering in 13 days from now when Trump takes office. So I would treat everything he said there quite seriously. I mean, moments after he said he wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
I would ask, what on earth do you think you're doing? It's we're looking at a U.S. economy that, this morning's jobs report was really good. Everything is kind of coming up roses. It's soft landing everywhere. And yet he's preparing, or claims he's preparing, to go on this trade war against everybody. And the question really is, why? What is it? Why do you want to do something so disruptive when you're inheriting an economy that is really looking pretty good?
I'm looking, Paul Krugman, at something you taught with a piece of chalk at Princeton and at City College. The basic idea here is a tariff chart which is the microeconomics and dynamics. We talked to Richard Clarida the other day about the deadweight loss of tariffs. For our listeners, the magnitude of tariffs, does it matter, or is this just simply a deadweight loss to each American citizen?
Oh, no, the magnitude. I mean, one of the things that you learn from studying the economics of tariffs is that tariffs at low rates do very, very little harm. We had an average tariff of something like 2 to 3%. We do at the moment coming into this.
Right.
That, if you ask, how much difference would it make if we got that down to zero? The answer is basically invisible. But if you go from 5% to 25%, which is what Trump's talking about for everybody, and 60% for China, then it's, roughly speaking, we think that the losses go up roughly as the square of the tariff rate. So with Trump talking not about a modest increase in tariffs, not about tariffs on a few products, but across the board trade war, Smoot-Hawley tariff levels, that starts to become a really, really big deal.
Paul, I've been and folks, the textbook on this is Krugman-Opsfeld. It's all, again, you throw Ken Rogoff in as well, but Krugman-Opsfeld, there's some adult textbooks out there of what Krugman invented for us in international economics. Paul, I've always defended you by saying the Venn diagram of Krugman economics and John Taylor economics at Stanford is pretty tight. Can Kevin Hassett advise this president towards some form of tariff moderation or sanity?
Kevin Hassett has a history of basically saying whatever. I mean, he's been a loyalist and a courtier. I would be really shocked if he goes to, tariffs appears to be a real Trump obsession, and I'd be shocked if Hassett or actually anybody stood up to Trump and said, Mr. President, you're thinking about this all wrong.
Professor, what concerns you, what worries you about this U.S. economy right here?
I think the U.S. economy as of right now is in very good shape.
Okay.
I am worried, I've been around a while, and the whole AI furor and all of the money being thrown at that technology gives me definite 1999 vibes. The sense that we may be having, even if the technology does do a lot of good stuff, and there's some indications that it will, the valuations look awfully high, and you can very easily imagine a kind of 2000, 2001 type. But the biggest concerns are policy. I mean, if you actually believe that Trump is going to do what he promised in the campaign with these massive tariffs, mass deportations, and let's not forget, taking away a lot of the Federal Reserve's independence, it's not at all hard to see us gratuitously. I mean, we're in good shape right now, but we could very easily have a gratuitous outbreak of stagflation in America, and it will be entirely coming top down from the White House.
Solely and squarely on the Supreme Court for this part of our broadcast. The Supreme Court move that upheld a ban of TikTok. That ban is scheduled to go into effect on Sunday. So literally TikTok for TikTok. Take a look at just some of what Justice Neil Gorsuch said in his opinion on the ruling. And this was in addition to the ruling. He said in part, whether this law will succeed in achieving its ends, I do not know. But the question we face today is not the law's wisdom, only its constitutionality. Given just a handful of days after oral argument and issue of an opinion, I, says Gorsuch, cannot profess the kind of certainty that I would like to have about the arguments and the record before us. All I can say, Gorsuch goes on to write, is that at this time and under these constraints, the problem appears real and the response to it not constitutional.
Keeps killing Palestinians in Gaza even as a ceasefire agreement is reached to end 15 months of war. It's due to come into effect on Sunday, a day before Donald Trump's return to the White House. So what's the deal? Why now? And what could undo it?
War in the Middle East seem louder than ever, don't they? All the signs point to Israel and the United States gearing up for conflict with Iran. And it's clear Tehran isn't taking any chances. The Iranians are in full defense mode, carrying out some of their most intense military drills in recent memory. These aren't your run-of-the-mill exercises either. They're laser-focused on air defense, particularly around key nuclear and energy facilities areas they believe are prime targets for any potential invasion. For Iran, this isn't just about flexing its military muscles. It's a message, loud and clear, to its adversaries. Any strike on their sovereignty won't go unanswered. Meanwhile, Israel is doing its part to crank up the tension. Ceasefires in Lebanon, breached. Bombing campaigns in Yemen, stepped up. And in Gaza, where people are clinging to the hope of a prisoner exchange deal, Israel is dragging its feet. It's not hard to see why frustrations are boiling over. These actions aren't happening in isolation. They're part of a broader escalation that's pulling the entire region into a dangerous spiral.
Reading out of 1 John 5:19, and it reads, "And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lieth in wickedness." 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 6, and it reads, "For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Koholo Yahweh, Ba'Shem Mashak Yahushai, Ruha Rukakudash. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone teaching this truth in humbleness and in sincerity. Again, I'm going to say Shalom. It's your brother Yahsai coming at you with another video. And as you see the news, okay, you look at the post. It's only getting worse here, okay? You had Joe Biden give his farewell address.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous concentration, and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
Which was, it was truthful, but it was very hypocritical with Slakia, because the whole time he's working for the powers that be, okay? Now you have Trump scheduled to come in on Monday, on MLK Day, and I don't think nothing's going to change. NATO's threatening war with Russia, okay? Russia's still bombing the hell out of Ukraine. I don't really see no signs of this place ever getting back to normal, except prophetically, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is judging this place accordingly, right? Slakia. You have the TikTok drama. I don't really use TikTok, okay? That was never my thing. But the question that's rising is, you know, if they take that down, which look like they will take it down, at least here in the States. So much for your constitutional rights, and really for us slave descendants, to keep it a buck, we don't have constitutional rights anyway. We have the laws of God, okay? We have the 600 plus laws recorded in the volume of the book. Okay, we were sent here as a punishment, and, you know, from the looks of things, it's winding down, but we have to see what happens next, right? So you had that drama with TikTok, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. The chariots. Okay, I live upstate New York. Okay. I'm opposite of, how do you say, Westchester, right? I'm in that region. But in most cases, I use local transit, way a bus. I mean, I drive, but I don't drive like I used to, okay? The chariot sightings are very real. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, those are not drones. That's not Project Bluebeam. There's no way our drones could cloak into the night sky, and that sucker was big. The issue is trying to film them. When I try to film them, they move so quick. Or, like this Thursday past, I caught a nice picture, I had a real good view at it, but I was sitting on a bus and the windows are blurry and most of those windows are unclean. By the time I pulled the cell phone out, I don't think the images would have been worthwhile. I've been struggling to get, how do you say, clean shots of the chariots, and they're massive. And they're much bigger than, some people say they look like cars, not drones. They look like cars in the air. No, these things are huge, family. And that's a good thing to see. I'm like, we're seeing them so much. I feel like this thing is coming to an end, hopefully. Because during the California wildfires that somewhat died down, you had a bunch of chariots coming out as well in the midst of that. Right? So we're going to get some scriptures. I'm just posting, the news as it happened. If it be of the Lord, I'm going to post more content at a faster pace. But, you're dealing with Esau's workforce. Thank the Most High I have the Sabbaths off, but still, it's a struggle when you doing 8, 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts sometimes. You just be tired, right? But let's get some scriptures. We're going to wind down. Okay, we're just going to go into a little scripture, and I'm going to end this video, but, family, what y'all think is, is there any more time? And remember, America going into that 250 mark late this year into the following year, so it's not long. That's why all these calamities on this earth, you got to consider it. Perhaps our time is drawing closer and closer, right? We're going to read we're looking at the fall of these nations as NATO. There's a lot of confusion with NATO and America. There's reports that I don't believe these reports to be true. They're saying that Trump turned on the Israeli PM to get a deal. It's all types of stuff floating in social media, right? Let's just hit some scriptures, okay? We're going to read Salakia. Let's get Deuteronomy 19 and 14, okay? On, some historic accounts on what happened. And, of course, when Israel is delivered, Israel's going to reign forever and ever under Hamashiach Yahushai, the prophets, the saints, and the angelic forces. And this world's going to be run in righteousness, right? Let's get some history in Deuteronomy 19 and 14. And it reads, "Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it." Okay, and we know the Israelites were moved, I believe that's Luke 21 and 24 to 70 AD. For transgressions of the law, the Israelites were pushed into chiefly what we know as Africa, which is the Valley of Ham, and other parts of the earth. And then prophetically, our foreparents were scattered across the corners of the earth by way of cargo slavery. Okay? Deuteronomy 27:17, and reads, "Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark, and all the people shall say amen." Okay? And we know the nations did that. You read Psalms, I believe Psalms 83. You know, the nations were confederate against the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And for many decades and seasons, we have been without a homeland. And then they mock us here in America, calling us black people, our skin's brown, and they call themselves white, and their skin's not white. But we can see that their kingdom's coming to an end. Okay, that's the whole point of this topic today. We're watching the fall of Babylon the Great. We're watching and witnessing the ongoing decline of America, and it's coming to an end rather quickly. Let's read on. Proverbs 22:20, it reads, Slakia, "Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set." And that is what the elite powers that be did, chiefly with the 12. Okay? But now the judgment's fallen on the wicked. Okay? And the wicked of our people. Okay? We see in the violence, we see the news within New York, okay, Los Angeles, major cities worldwide. Okay, the war front, the judgment's just pouring on. And, you know, and I think about these mass chariot sightings. We never witnessed a time like this, you know. Like what we're seeing now, these warning signs is just they're just amping up, right? Let's read Ezekiel 36 and verse 5, and it reads, "Therefore thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey." And that's dealing with your status quo. I try to say that to be friendly, because I know I get struck, penalized. You know, I try to be friendly, but not even the elite powers that be can't get around what's happening on this planet Earth today. That's why you keep getting reports of these major CEOs getting underground bunkers and whatnot, because their time is coming. And the only ones that's going to survive the fire coming this way, as in the image there in the back, under Caesar, okay? 2 parts of our people going to burn away in the judgment. And that judgment, family, is coming swiftly. It's coming faster than we could comprehend. Okay? For you newcomers in the Israelite community, keep the commandments. Keep the commandments. Because it's not long for America. Christianity, the fables, the lies, that can't save. That can't save you on the day of the Lord's vengeance. This place is going to burn away in 1 hour, as it's written in Revelations, the 18th chapter. Okay, let's carry on. I'm about to wind it down. I try not to make these videos too long. Let's get this end time prophecy that's due to play out. Out of the book of Joel 3 and verse 2. And it reads, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." You know what I love about Joel 3 and 2? It cuts the spiritual Israel rhetoric, man. Okay? Once you get into Genesis 12, really from the volume of the book, it's only dealing with the children of the diaspora, okay? And it's funny, everybody want to become a spiritual, I hope I don't get struck for this. Everybody wants to be a spiritual Negro now. But none of us have the power to be spiritual elites to pay off our debts, so it don't work, okay? We were scattered to the four corners of the earth as a punishment due to our forefathers in that wilderness during the time of Egypt. They transgressed. Okay, they continue to transgress when you go into the the Samuels, okay, the First Kings, Second Kings account going into the split of Israel. Northern and Southern Kingdom. And ultimately, we were scattered to the four corners of the earth prophetically. That's what happened. You had the initial one in 70 AD, then you had the transatlantic slave trade, and among other slave passages, and the people of the diaspora were discontinued from their heritage, as it's written in Jeremiah the 17th chapter. The status quo in the land, they're not discontinued. They sit pretty mighty these days, okay? And their brethren, dukes of Edom, they're not scattered. If you're the dukes of Edom, you can flee America and go to any part of Europe without a problem. If I try to flee with a passport booklet, I'm going to get heavy questions. So there is a difference. But only the elect don't understand that. As we're witnessing the downfall and the total collapse of America while they plunge into World War III, which they're already in, okay? This guy, I've been watching Lavrov from Russia. He called it a hybrid war. Okay, we would say proxy war, but it's World War III, no matter how you slice it. And it's going to heat up, chiefly when these missiles come this way. And, you know, the exodus, it'll manifest itself, and we'll be out of here if it be the Most High. See if there's any more. Let me read this again. Joel 3 and verse 2, it reads, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Okay? And it was the Most High that scattered us as a punishment. Okay? As a chastisement. Right? But from the looks of things, fam, look like the stage is getting set. Right? Let's get one more. Zechariah 12 and verse 9, and it reads, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And that's not talking about the wars we see in that land right now, where they're trying to strike peace deals. No, that's not talking about that. Israel is the people scattered to the four corners of the earth, not a people set up post-Balfour Declaration. Okay? And again, only the elect and the remnant elect's going to get this message. Those that believe anything else, well, we're seeing the judgments just overthrow this whole planet, right? Because E-Day, okay, it's getting closer and closer. I prefer it as Exodus Day or D-Day for Deliverance Day. We're going to get that, and I'm going to end this video. Okay, keep the commandments, 12 tribes, keep the commandments, because we can see something real serious is brewing. I'm praying it's our exodus out of this captivity and into Zion. All praise to the Most High, right? Let's get the classic in 2nd Ezra, chapter 7, and verse 43. And it reads, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, the beginning of immortality for to come, where corruption is past. And with that, I'll give all praise, honor, and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahushai. Double honor to mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone teaching this truth and humbleness, sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.